Black Widow by the Soska sisters. No Restraints play, this is called. This is a 5-issue miniseries that was done in 2019 with a artist named Flaviano, who's not on the cover. There's actually Clayton Crane on the cover. Now, Clayton Crane usually is drawing those like very digital looking sort of things. And he did something a little different for the covers of this. It's a little more cartoony. I actually really like this art style. I would love to see a full book of Clayton Crane doing this. I think his art's fantastic. So that's that. You get into this, though, and the Flaviano guy is... I've got a little bit of a broken book here. Not quite as solid on the art here. He's fine. But as you can see, like it's that like kind of like half manga style that like Westerners are doing manga kind of thing. And my main issue and gripe with it is not too much. I mean... the panels flow pretty well. Storytelling's pretty good. But he really just draws Black Widow not that pretty. And it bothers me when I'm reading, characters like Black Widow and you just kind of look at the face and they're not really consistent between panels, and it maybe is a little too rushed because it's for Marvel Comics. And that's kind of how I see this going. So it's okay art, it's serviceable, but there are those flaws in actually specifically the way that Black Widow looks. Now, storytelling wise, this is interesting. This first issue really is not part of the story, and it makes me wonder if this is an editorial driven thing for the first issue rather than like just what the Soskas were intending to do. You get Black Widow in almost all of the first issue is her fighting with Captain America and uncovering this like imposter Captain America, and at the end of it, she finally goes to Madripoor and then meets up with one of Patch's or Wolverine's old friends in Madripoor, and she's like, "I'm looking for something to do," and she's like, "Okay, there's this whole like." Human trafficking sort of ring going on where people are paying to see these live streams of women getting tortured. And by the way, this is like a really real problem in the world. If you don't know, the human trafficking of like, especially white women is like one of the worst of all times. And it is like, it is the level of which is happening on this, there's more slavery going on in the world than anywhere else. I'm digressing a little bit here. So it's actually a very poignant story that is very real, and it's very disturbing on that level because it feels so real. And they actually do a great job, the Soska sisters, of communicating that reality through this to where it's memorable. Now, I wasn't sure how I felt about this story because of that. Like, I didn't feel good about it because it's like, oh, this is just kind of gross through it. But at the same time, like the bad guys doing this, that makes for a poignant story, and it worked. And like, I'm not going to forget this Black Widow story. So I guess they did their job as a storyteller, like invoking emotion. It's very interesting on that front. Like I said, the entire first issue though is just Black Widow messing around with Steve Rogers and hunting down a fake Steve Rogers. And they tie it into the Secret Empire thing where he was Hail Hydra, and he's got a bunch of people who hate him over the fact that he was mind controlled and stuff. And it really wasn't him, and he's just trying to do his job. Like I said, it really doesn't fit with the rest of the series. Like, she goes to Madripoor. It doesn't, I mean, they try to tie it in at the end, and actually competently writing-wise, they do tie it in at the end with some thoughts of Black Widow and just like what she experienced and how that ties in with Steve Rogers. But you really didn't need that there. This would have worked better, I think, as a 4-issue series without that in there. And I feel like editorial just wanted to tie it into the Marvel Universe and event as a whole to try to draw in some sales or something like that before just allowing them to do their series. Now, Black Widow is hunting down this No Restraints play group in Madripoor at this point, and she's pretty livid. And so she's ready to just kick ass and take names throughout the entire thing here. It's super good. The pacing's fantastic on it. Her indignancy is good on it. Feels like I said, it's a thriller ride that's pretty intense throughout the entire thing, and it doesn't, again, like I kind of wish this was not a Marvel comic and it was just like a random indie comic doing this. I feel like they might have been held back a little bit from that, and so like the storyline it just works pretty well. She eventually finds this little girl who's underaged, and this is where you kind of go, oh, this is gross, because like the No Restraints play implies there was some sexual abuse there too from the bad guys. It's none of it's shown. All this is like very like well done psychologically to where you don't actually see a lot of the stuff on screen, which is actually the best kind of horror at the end of the day. If you look at what Alfred Hitchcock did with Psycho, this is exactly what was happening through this. Madame Mask ends up showing up. And so this girl, by the way, is like, has a leg amputated and all that from all this crap. So Black Widow's like double angry, and she's going to go avenge this little girl. She's an Avenger after all. And Madame Mask is going to a party where all these people are supposed to be at. She ends up stealing Madame Mask's identity to get in, and then tries to gain information through pretending to be Madame Mask through all this. I really love this. This is, again, like, character-wise, Natasha Romanoff is a spy. And so she just did a very espionage spy thing. Very good character work with that to actually use that for her. That worked out great. So you utilize the fact that she's a spy. The other thing I really liked is she doesn't pull her punches with these like human slavers. Now, a lot of like superhero stuff, and this is I'm digressing a lot in this book because there's a lot to discuss with it. A lot of superhero stuff gets into like their only moral for the superhero seems to be like, we do not kill. We are superheroes. And Captain America does that at the beginning of this book. And she kind of comments on how stupid that is through that here. And she's like, well, there's no Captain America here. And so she actually just like wrecks these people, which is great. I actually want to see these people wrecked. Some people do deserve this kind of thing. It always bothered me with a character like Captain America too. And this is not the Soska's fault because this is kind of editorially mandated for years. But why would he be a person who doesn't kill? He's literally a soldier. That doesn't make sense. Natasha Romanoff, again, is a KGB spy, so it, of course, doesn't make sense that she wouldn't kill either, right? So she does, which is good, and I appreciate that. Eventually, of course, she gets captured by these people, and that is what is driving things. And you get these very emotional moments through here where it's in their head. The colorist did a good job here of the washing out the images that are actually like background and thoughts in their heads and all that to create that separation between like what it looks like in the main book and what it's not. I actually like that usage of that here too. And as you see, like the color palette here, like a lot of red, a lot of black and red, so you can get to see that evil and feel the oppression going on through this, which is actually, when there is a defined color palette, it's a lot better when there's not. Black Widow escapes and then, of course, takes these guys down in like some awesome extreme action sequences here. So good stuff. And I really like how it all wrapped up. I like how Black Widow did her deal. And then her little thoughts at the end, of course, tie back into the first issue a little bit. So extremely competently written. It had that like circular closure. The character was really well done. It's just kind of like it's a one-shot graphic novel-y thing, though. And that's why I say it would have been better without the Captain America involvement and without that first issue that really didn't correlate too much to anything else that went on in the next 4 issues. And so if this was a 4-issue series or just one graphic novel, probably would have left that out. If this was an 80s Marvel graphic novel of Black Widow, for example, they would have done less work trying to tie it into the overall Marvel universe. And that seems to be a problem with Marvel and DC these days. They're just trying way too hard to tie everything in and not just letting the stories breathe. I would have liked that a little bit more. But overall, excellent story. The art is serviceable but not great, and there's some flaws in it, like I said. The coloring is done pretty well. And that is the whole book here. I call this an 8 out of 10 overall. It's good, and definitely worth a read if you like Black Widow or are interested in Black Widow stories. Leave a comment down below with what you think about this. Hit that like and subscribe button. We'll be back soon.